The closest bus station or any motorized road was about 9 hours tough hike from my village. There was no running water then. There was no electricity. And I could not choose optional mathematics because my teachers had told me that I was brain dead in math. I had completely memorized the Ramayana. And then during the math exam, when I had all that time, I started writing the Ramayana verses just from the beginning.
There's a small fact in life that is very counterintuitive. We have this perception that if a person is successful, they are going to have a massive ego, they're super arrogant, full of themselves. That what I've realized in life, and I think that's something that a lot of us have learned over time, is that the more successful somebody becomes, actually they're more humble. So that's something that is incredible. And our guest, Purna Subedi ji, is such a reflection of that, right? I met Purna ji a couple of months ago, Orange County, California, at a TGND event, which I have to say it was graciously hosted by Alok Devkota ji, and he was just one of the guests. So Purna ji, when he started his introduction, then I realized, oh my God, this person is a living legend. He's achieved so much, and you would never know. He's not somebody that, is full of himself or, so visible as well. Ani त्यसबाहेक चाहिँ one thing that really stuck with me, and and why I wanted him to actually be on the podcast and talk about his background is he recited a verse. I'm forgetting अहिले चाहिँ whether it was Ramayanko कि Mahabharatko, but it was beautiful, and he was so articulate and eloquent, and that's something that is exactly what we're trying to do with TGND Beats, right? Or even the Great Nepali Diaspora. We want people that have achieved global success, global accomplishments, but still retain that little bit of Nepaliness, whatever that means. So that, Purna ji is a perfect example of that. And, while we head to the episode, I also want to really thank our loyal subscribers. Thank you for never missing an episode. Thank you for cheering us on. Thank you for being on this journey journey with us. Thank you.
So let's start. What does your company do? Tell us.
We make wireless telecommunications equipment, mainly filters, multiplexers, diplexers, and passive radio conditioning devices, which are needed for every wireless telecommunication systems. And but anything wireless requires filtering. Otherwise, for example, when you're talking on the phone, you'll interfere with the television or vice versa. So those frequencies need to be filtered and selected properly.
Awesome. And I would love to add that, the technology you've made actually is on the Mars rover. Is that correct?
That is correct. We make a lot of equipment for space and deep space and airborne applications as well.
Perfect. No, that is incredible. I think, when we met recently, Puraji, in California, I was amazed to hear your story. And, I think हाम्रो डायस्पोराको नेपालमा भएको मान्छेहरूलाई चाहिँ this is such an incredible story to tell, right? That एउटा नेपालीले बनाएको technology is something that is on the Mars rover, something so tangible, is such an incredible thing. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. And yes, where do you want me to begin now? From my childhood to this?
Of course. Tell us, Nepal देखिको यहाँ Marsको roverसम्म, how has your journey been? Tell us.
Yeah, I was born in a small village in Parbat district. Thulipokhari is the name of my village. which is in Dhaulagiri, Anchal. And the closest bus station or any motorized road was about 9 hours tough hike from my village. There was no running water then. There was no electricity. And yet, when I was 4 years old, a man from our village, uncle, a distant uncle, went to India and returned to the village with a battery-operated radio. And he played it for me. And then I said to him, I looked at it just all around, and I said, Uncle, I used to call him Mailaba. There must be the tiniest people in this little box with the loudest voices. Mailaba, yo bahas vitra kati itruka manse thulo awaz bhako chan hola. And I was just 4 years old, and he said, no, son, it's science. It's people like you and I made it. Uncle, can I make one too? Not now, but you have to study. You have to study hard for this. And that actually planted the bug in my head to understand, basically even before understanding it, to be able to make that radio. But growing up in the village, there were many challenges, and there was no electricity beyond just battery-operated radios and some flashlights. And so I was always intrigued by that radio. It was in the back of my mind, and I was not a great student. I was a mediocre student. And when I got to the 8th grade, we had to choose between optional mathematics and economics, because that's how at the time the educational system was. And I could not choose optional mathematics because my teachers had told me that I was brain dead in math. My father was a primary school teacher there, and they also told my father that I was not talented in math. I was brain dead in math. And therefore, I wound up taking the economics, not the optional mathematics, in the 8th grade, which actually prevented me going and further studying science basically later on. But when I was in the 9th grade and went into the 10th grade, I failed the English exam. So that my roll number from 6 went to 13. And then I realized that I needed to study English if I wanted to, understand. I became aware that most of the world knowledge was written in English. And I started, then I tasted head on. And then I started doing well in English. However, my math was still a challenge. And then, just then, I became infected with tuberculosis, Ebola TB. And my studies were further interrupted. And while being treated, for the tuberculosis, the challenges we faced in the village, getting 90 injections and 180 and 18 months of medicine was formidable. My father had to carry me in his back to Bohara several times, and there were many challenges. Sometimes I was on the verge of missing medicine, which could have killed me. Actually, other kids at the time did die, and I was fortunate that I survived, from the TB. Then when I took the SLC, I failed it, and I got number 18 in math, and the pass mark was 32. So then the next year I studied hard and tried to take the SLC again, but during the math exam, for the first 15 minutes, I did whatever I knew. मलाई जे आउँथ्यो त्यो 15 मिनटमा गरेँ. त्यसपछि we still have 2 hours and 45 minutes of time left. Then what do? I just started thinking, well, ever since the 8th grade, when I was told I was brain dead in math, I had become very interested in the Nepalese epics, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and all those. And it just turns out that I had completely memorized the Ramayana. And then during the math exam, when I had all that time, I started writing the Ramayana verses just from the beginning. Basically, एक दिन नारद सत्यलक पुगी गया लोकको गरो हेदवानी बरमाता थिया पर चरणमा खुसी गराया पनि क्या सोध्छौ तिमी सोध भन्छु म भनी मर्जी भए थियो जसै बर्माको करुणा बुझेर ऋषिले बिन्ती गरे यो जसै हे बर्मा जति हुन् शुभ शुभ सबै सुनिरहेका छु कछु बाँकी छैन तथापि सुन्न अहिले इच्छा म यो गर्दछु आउला जब यो कलि विषय कलि बखतमा प्राणी दुराचार भए गर्दा छन् पाप तराका निष्कामतीमा गए त्यो भयो बालकाण्डबाट अनि अनेक हरेक काण्डमा सुन्दरकाण्डमा पनि पुगेँ जस्तै सुन्दरकाण्डमा अझै पनि मलाई सम्झना छ तर्छु छार समुद्र सहज अहिले भन्याई राधा गरी धरी श्रीरामका चरणारविन्द मनले अत्यन्त चिन्तन गरी भन्छन् वीरहरूलाई ताई हनुमान फे वीरको पार्तरी सीताजी बेर्दछु म अहिले जान्छु बडो बेग गरी पापी जन पनि रामका स्मरणले संसार बात छ त रामकै काम निमित्त उठिसँगले जान्छु दुतै हो मता आदि इत्यादि मैले सकेँ त्यो 2 घन्टा 45 मिनटसम्म त्यो सबै अझै कापी सकियो अझै अरू कापी मागेर I ran out of the paper. I asked for more paper and then just filled out the whole.
I love that, Purnaji. You know, हामी यो पडकास्टै पनि हामी सकेसम्म बढी मान्छेले बुझोस् भनेर हामी मिक्स अफ नेपाली एन्ड इङ्ग्लिस गर्छौँ होइन यसमा यो श्लोक त दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम एन्ड आई थिङ्क मैले फर्स्ट टाइम सुन्दाखेरि नै मलाई एकदम टच गराएको थियो सो दिस इज इन्क्रेडिबल द्याट वान हजुरको मेमोरीमा अहिलेसम्म छ फ्रम द्याट चाइल्डहुड एन्ड हाउ सर्ट अफ यु नो you're using that. A quick question before we move on, say, हजुरले you know, from your experience, right? Few things. एउटा चाहिँ one SLC, right? And you know, everybody, all of us that sort of grew up in Nepal, SLC is that benchmark, right? It's that you know, तिमी काट्नै पर्ने कुराहरू होइन and it sort of determines for the right or wrong reasons धेरै मान्छेको destiny. Right, and हजुरले I'm so grateful for your honesty that हजुरले you shared that you know you failed SLC, which Nepalको context it's almost like there is no you know it's like the biggest failure भने जस्तो, right? And it sort of it puts a lot of pressure on kidsहरुमै पनि and parents and it's a you know what is your sort of take on that, right?
I click on it that after the 8th grade I just started feeling very sad in a way that I wanted to understand how that radio worked, but then I started becoming mad at God because God, why did you give me that curiosity? मलाई किन त्यो उत्सुकता दिनुभयो तर सामर्थ्य त दिनु भएन. Why didn't you give me that ability? Then why did you give me that curiosity? And that was my take on it. I was very angry at God basically. भगवान प्रति नै मलाई अनि यही तरिकाले मैले भगवान त्यो हुँदा हुँदै मैले रामायण महाभारत गीता भगवत गीता यिनीहरूमा भए एकदमै इन्ट्रिग्ड भएर नै अध्ययन पढ्न थालेँ. म 13 वर्षको उमेरमा नै रामायण कण्ठ बनाइसकेको थिएँ. अनि त्यो हुँदा हुँदै अब एसएलसीमा भयो. अब त्यसपछि आई थिङ्क द एजुकेसन सिस्टम सुड अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड द्याट people can actually succeed later. So in the 8th, it should not be a determining grade, the 8th grade. You know, there should be opportunities, you know, to study math later. You know, like I'm the example. I think we can come back to this, you know, later, you know, how it affected me basically. And then after we got the SLC exams after the second time, that my score was 32, which was just a pass mark in my math. And to this day, I do not know whether it was because of, you know, what I knew the past 15 minutes, or it was because of the writing the Ramayana in there.
I would love to, imagine
Yeah.
the person that actually checked your work, right? Math ko especially to, right, wrong, comma, to be able to, see a paper full of these verses must have been incredible, must have been like something else.
And my handwriting in Nepali is pretty good. So it's not like, it would trigger somebody to probably look at it. And but again, I'm grateful that it provided, whatever happened, it provided a bridge for me to carry on in my life. Then from my village of Tulipahari, after passing the exam, I went to Kathmandu with the help of a Peace Corps volunteer, John Miller, N84. And then I tried to, he helped me find a job in Tamil in the tourist shop. And then in my quest, tried to study science in Nepal, which was impossible because I had not taken the math for the ASLC and my score was not that good. So eventually I wound up studying Manabiki at Ratnaraja campus. And I was studying there during the nighttime. That was the only, at that time, that was one of the, campuses that used to offer night classes. During the daytime, I used to work in a thanka shop in Tamil. And then I would share my story with a lot of tourists, how I wanted to, study, it was not possible for me. I was brain dead in math, but I could not study science. And my curiosity was to understand how that radio would work, but it was like Akash ko phal hatari mar. I could never get there. But seriously, I thought I was brain dead in math. And then finally a tourist with her two sons was traveling through Nepal, and I encountered with her, my American mom, and then she, and with the help of the Peace Corps volunteer, who had helped me go to Kathmandu, they realized that I probably could do well in America, so they decided to help me in 1984, and I got the I-20 from a college here in the U.S., and I came here to study humanities, philosophy, Darshan Shastra. And for the first year, I did very well. I got all A's and I did very well. But still, I was always wondering how the radio worked. Doing, very well in my class still did not teach me how that radio worked. And that was still bothering me, but still, then I thought maybe I should try. And then I realized that in America, I can start math from the very beginning, even though I'm already in college. And there are many challenges, of course, too. That's a different topic for me, to be able to come here, get the I-20, get, all the things, for a little village boy. But still, that's another topic. However, then when I switched to a different college, where they taught math and science, and I took Math 101. For the first 2 months, I didn't understand much. I would understand every word because my English was good. However, I still didn't understand math. But one day, something clicked. I was studying a very simple concept of sets. When two circles would interlap, that would be called the union. And when they were separate, that would be called the OR, union and OR. It was so simple that I was making a mountain out of the molehill. Then I understood that so clearly. It was so simple. Then, just because I understood that, the second chapter I understood. And then the second chapter I understood. Now math became, within 1 month, I was done with the whole course. And math became like addictive to me. And I realized that I was actually gifted in math, not brain dead. Then the following semester, I moved to the university and I took 3 math courses simultaneously. And then after that, I took the national math competition and I I won in the national math competition from the state I was in, and then subsequently in the US I came in the 5th place in the national math.
That's amazing. Purnaji, I love that story because, especially because Nepalko context again, right? It's almost like bachadekhi नै you either study humanities or science or something like that. Ani bachama what you're good at, that's what you follow, right? I haven't heard a story where something जुनमा चाहिँ तिमी राम्रो छैनौ बच्चामा हुँदाखेरि, something like math. There is no second chance, though, right? To actually learn something, to be good at. There's this big, I think, fear of failure in our community. Yeah?
Yes, exactly. नेपालमा एउटा उदाहरण छ, पहिलेदेखि र बालककालदेखि नै भन्छ हुने बिरुवाको चिल्लो पात. That may be the case, but it's not in all the cases. I think we're losing a lot of talents because of that, and for that very reason, actually, now that I'm just a side, now we have actually started helping. We have established a dormitory for girls in Nepal for the past 4 years, and we have educated thousands of girls. We have provided scholarships, and our criteria is to go from the back, not from the front, not to provide scholarship necessarily to the ones who know everything, who have the highest grades, but to actually help the ones who are the most behind, who have the worst grades, because they are the ones, they are also they also need a place in this society. We cannot leave them in the dust. We cannot leave them dead. They have to, and then that's what we have been doing, and we have been very successful. We have created a lot of incredible educated women from that scenario for the past 2 decades in our village in Tulibahari.
No, that's incredible, Purnaji. I think to focus on people that actually need help, to छँदै छैन, right? Just on a follow up on this, अहिले सुन्दाखेरि it's 2023 and still this approach of जो चाहिँ बढी weak छ उनीहरूलाई अलिकति बढी attention दिएर we see that happening US को schools and so on, right? There is extra help and so on. Nepalको still even the model you talk about, scholarships for girls सुन्दै सुनिँदैन, right? तर यसलाई अब कसरी how can other people, other organizations, education system मै भएको पनि, how can they adopt a system, right? जब कि कति कुरा education sector usually doesn't have a lot of resources, there's a lot of bureaucracy and so on, हैन? तर can you think of a few smaller sort of ways where यस्तो खालको approach पनि adopt गर्न मिल्छ होला?
You just do not leave anybody behind. In the US, there is that principle of no kids left behind. And in Nepal, similar things should be adapted. And I'm not sure if it is now or not, because unfortunately, I have been unable to follow up a lot of details about Nepal. However, as I was growing up, no kids left behind should be principle. The principle should be followed, because if you are not successful in one thing, try another. And there will always be another field, because everybody makes a living at the end. That's how the evolution works. And everybody needs to make a living. And everybody needs to contribute to the society, to the country. And we are one, globe. We are one world.
No, of course. Purnaji, a quick sort of follow-up on this, right? हजुरको story-मा, there's one sort of constant theme in terms of your curiosity, right? And that almost that obsession in terms of that radio ko, tell us a little bit more in terms of how sort of that took college-मा पुगेदेखिको towards the end, and also a little bit of follow-up in terms of is that curiosity? Curiosity that is great, right? Is that obsession with something? Is that how can people like actually leverage it? Okay? In a good, in a productive way.
Yeah, very quickly, let me follow my story, how I, became successful in college. Then after that, I started tutoring math and science. After taking math, then I started taking science classes for the first time. And then I remember, then I changed my major now from philosophy to electrical engineering. And in 1989, the spring of 1989, for the first time, I took this radio engineering class in which I understood everything so well. Then that's finally when I became, grateful to God. And basically, I just said, God, I just did not see it. You had a different plan for me. And it's not that I'm preaching God. It's not that I, I don't know. But, basically that's what happened to me, the revelation. Whatever it is, destiny, luck, or, perseverance. But then when I was in college, I had to make a living. So I was cleaning people's homes, people's houses. I was pulling their weeds from their gardens. That's how I was making my that's how I was paying for my college. Then I started getting scholarships, which are not easy. Right then, something came in my mind. I said, okay, my siblings, they need to go to school now. If they don't, even if I give them crore rupiah पछि, it won't help them because they need the education now. So I started to make extra income. I started cleaning people's, homes, toilets, pulling their, weeds from their yards. And then whatever money, I used to put money in the registered envelopes and send them to Nepal. And that's how my siblings got educated. And they're all here in the US now. But then I realized it'll be easier for me to tutor somebody than pull weeds and, clean toilets. So I started actually tutoring math, science. I used to actually tutor 36 different subjects. And in math, physics, thermodynamics, just about every math and science course. And I used to work for the university as a tutor and also tutor privately. That's how I was able to pay through college and educate my kids. Not my kids, my siblings. And then also I got scholarships because I started doing well in college. And then I got my bachelor's in 1990. When I got my bachelor's, at the end of the textbook, it says it's beyond the scope of this course. Then I said, okay, I want to know what's beyond the scope of this course. Then I got enrolled for my bachelor's. And I got bachelor's in 1992. Then still at the end of the book, it still said it's beyond the scope of this course. So, okay, I need to get enrolled. I need to get my PhD. But then again, I had encountered many students who were their professional students, who were there for 8 years after their master's, and they still didn't have their PhD. Then I started thinking, I'm going to break a record. I'm not going to be a professional student. Then I started masterminding exactly how I would do it. And I had a plan to do it in 2 years. And the first year, I completed all my coursework. The second year, if I used the department resources, it would take 13 years to complete the simulations. That was not going to work. So what I did was I started applying for high priority, computer time in all throughout the country for supercomputing accounts. And then I completed all my simulations in 6 months. And then thereafter, I took another 6 months to complete my dissertation. I was done with my PhD in 2 years. And I called my committee and they said, our department average is 4.6 years. How could you be done in 2 years? We cannot let you graduate. Then I said, have you reviewed my work? No. Okay. we will meet again next week. So when we met the following week, everybody had reviewed my work and they said, we cannot stop you. So I was able to graduate because I had completed all the work.
Yeah, I'm speechless. It's incredible in terms of, that curiosity, that because, and it's something so inspiring for, I think, all of us, right? Because as students, say, for most people, you just want to survive that class. You just want to get done with it, whatever it is. You want to get good grades, move on, right? I don't see, or I haven't felt this sort of this nature in most of us, where we're like, okay, you course what more, right? What more? That hunger for knowledge is something so inspiring. Purnaji, I think that sort of also is, we can see that that's one of the reasons you're so successful, right? Because there is no full stop for you.
Yeah, thank you. And then I had already gotten, basically what happened was I was employed through the university. I had gotten the research and teaching assistantships, but I had also secured funding myself. So had I started using the university resources then for my topic, that could have lingered longer. So I actually chose my topic separately, for which I had already obtained funding myself. And that nobody could stop me. I mean, no, I could not be used as a graduate student slave. And I just graduated. Then I was teaching, it was time for me to move on. So for a little while, I remained as an adjunct professor because I already had the commitment, for my research. Then I moved on. I filled a job as a research engineer. And then as I was with that company for about 5 years, then I moved on to another company. I moved about 5,000 kilometers away to New Hampshire, just outside of Boston. And then I was there for another 8 years. That's where my kids were born. And then it was always in the back of my mind to start my own company. And my company, the company I was working with, was purchased by a California-based company. 2 years later, we moved to California. And then the company, I was there for 5 years, and the company went bankrupt in 2013. Right after that, I lost everything I had, basically all the options I had. I had never cashed a single share. I lost everything, but then I started realizing I found another job as a CTO at Lark Engineering, which was later Secure Communications, as a CTO. But then I started thinking, I have always wanted to open my own company. Yeah, as a CTO, it gives me with good income, However, if I had meant to keep the income, then I would have been, PowerWeb would have never went bankrupt. I could have kept all that, all that fortune. Since I was not able to keep it, now this income is So then I started thinking I always wanted to open my own company. And, I always used to think, then I lit my books with, the oil lamp. This is the very lamp here that in the village I studied with. I lit my books with this lamp. But then I now wanted to basically light up the world with the, microwaves, with the radio waves. And I wanted to open my own company. And always never the right time. Someday I was getting married. Another time, my wife was graduating. Another time I had one kid being born. Another time, another kid being born. Never the right time. Never. Then one day I was just, after I got the CTO position, I started thinking, all the figures in the past, like John F. Kennedy, when he was campaigning with his little 2 kids, and he became the U.S. president. John Edwards, the presidential candidate, he had little kids, and his wife was pregnant, and he was still campaigning, and became successful. And then I started thinking, why can't I do the same? Just on January 24th, 2014, I quit my CTO position cold turkey. And people started looking like I had 10 heads. Not that I was Ravana. Because I have this little kids, mortgage to pay, and all the dependents, my parents here. And here, I lost everything in the bankruptcy. And here I had this good, job. I just quit. But then I started thinking, if I do not quit, my mission, you have to begin somewhere. You have to draw the line. The longer you wait, the longer you are just cashing into your own dream, basically. You're not, the progress is not going to happen towards your goal. But that doesn't mean that you should just, do it without a plan. Like, for example, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. That also,
Exactly.
Yeah. But you have to have it in your mind how you're going to survive. Basically, how your dependents are going to survive. But then my wife was employed part-time. She had a good, but we figured that we could survive, and she was very inspirational, and she was very encouraging for me. Dr. Gayatri Subedi, now she got her doctorate later. And so as a teamwork, basically, and that's how I was able to survive. And then you just keep moving. You just keep making progress every day. Sometimes you have to take 2 steps back to make 1 step forward. But that's how it is. And
no, that makes sense, Puraji. And I think, just to consolidate Hazuk's thoughts in terms of all of this, right? One is, I think, for anything, right? Not just starting a company, there is no right time. Okay, whether it's life phases may jana pani, it's as cliche as it sounds, even to get married or have a kid or do something on your own. I think there is no right time. And 2 is, I think, the key is to start. Right? Kati times we spend months and years just waiting for the perfect opportunity. There is no perfect opportunity. So, our advice to our audience is, whatever you're thinking, I think it's you should have a plan B, right? A safety net. Is important that you should start. And I think, just like you said, I've had the fortune of meeting your wonderful wife. Sometimes in these success stories, we don't share the contribution your family makes. Kati times say, especially as entrepreneurs or somebody that takes risk, we also celebrate, your individual success. That it's never just an individual. It's a family effort. It's it takes a village.
Exactly. And the success is not always guaranteed. However, it takes 7 years for an overnight success.
Exactly.
So, if you are not thinking, somebody else is thinking. You just by thinking and thinking, you just plan yourself, for that opportunity to grab. It's like sometimes you may go so low. However, but you still have to, success is not guaranteed. However, like in the Bhagavad Gita, I always remember this. Seek to perform your duty, but lay not claim to its fruit. Bhagavad Gita ma bhaneko, अब त्यो मैले अंग्रेजीमा बढी बुझेँ, अब नेपालीमा कर्म गर फलको आशा नराख. तर त्यो मेरो विचारमा हाम्रो नेपालीमा अलि उल्था पुगेन, किनभने कर्म गरेपछि फलको आशा त राख्नु पर्यो नि. भन्न खोजेको के हो भने गीतामा कर्म गर तर फल तिम्रो नियन्त्रणमा छैन भन्न खोजेको के. त्यो आफूले राख्नु हुन्छ,
राख्नु पर्छ पनि. आई थिङ्क वी हेभ टु वर्क टुवर्ड्स समथिङ के. नभए त त्यो कति टाइम्स चाहिँ कस्तो पनि हुन्छ भने आई थिङ्क त्यो भेगनेस त्यो क्ल्यारिटी भएन भने you don't know what you're working towards, right? You might be walking in the wrong direction पनि कति times. So त्यो अलिकति clarity ऊ चाहिँ चाहिन्छ. A few questions, Purnaji, as we sort of, wrap up गर्ने बेला पनि हुन लाग्यो, होइन? One चाहिँ, you've seen Nepal over the years, होइन? पहिला गाउँदेखि, you've gone back and forth. अहिले, as you're established in the US, I'm sure you visit and, family-हरु पनि हुन्छ. What do you sort of see, positive and negative? अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ two, where can हाम्रो diaspora in general and organizations like TGND, how can we sort of play a part in all of that?
Actually, I am very what you are doing this forum this is amazing. As I was going through my journey, I wished I had means to communicate like this. I wished I had because this is something to lean on to. Not only that, just to share your thoughts, just to see what others have done, so see if how others have failed. There is no such thing as failure. Failure eventually leads to success. It's just success delayed. Failure is success delayed, basically. And and your diaspora, I'm very happy, that we have, ran into each other here, and this will help tremendously, for other innovative people and for other people in general, not only to start companies or, they don't all have to start companies, basically to contribute in any way possible, in any area, in any means. And Nepal is, I have been to Nepal quite a number of times. And once, when I came here, I got married with my wife Gayatri in 1998. When we came here, she did a paper in school. And in her research, we realized that then, it was around 1999, the literacy rate of men was 41% then. And then the literacy rate of women was just the opposite, 1.4. Since I was already interested in numbers, I was obsessed with numbers. I just saw that connection, 14 and 41. Then I realized that यो रथको दुईटा पाङ्ग्रा महिला र पुरुष यदि महिलाको literacy rate, if it didn't catch up to men's, कुनै पनि सोसाइटीलाई त्यो गाह्रो हुन्छ, हामीले केही गर्न सकिँदैन. यदि नेपाललाई केही गरिदियो भने हामीले भकारीमा नाम्रो लाएर उचाउन सकिँदैन. हामीले थोरै थोरै भए पनि केही न केही, we just need to become the fabric of that wave that turns, and that's, you just need to be a microscopic fiber. And then I started thinking, what can we do? Then I realized that towards educating women is the key, and that's why I'm working with the Optimist organization here. We established this dormitory for college girls in our village, and which continued. We have educated we have provided all these scholarships, from here for the past 2 decades. Actually, 23.
23 years. No, that's amazing, Purnaji. एउटा sort of on that notion, एउटा I think final question from me is अहिले, especially recently, right? पहिलादेखि नै we obviously have नेपालीहरू बाहिर गएर पढ्ने and everything, होइन? अहिले चाहिँ we see that happening in like really, really big numbers, right? Not just बाहिर पढ्न आउने होइन कि migrant उसको लागि पनि. It seems like there's this air of frustration, a lot of negative sort of feeling among the young people in Nepal, होइन? त्यो as we read newsहरू and reports, it seems एकदमै अलिकति sad situation, होइन? हजुरको त्यसमा के sort of input छ in terms of what's happening, what could be done, र also I think that बाहिर बस्या मान्छेको experience pani ke, right? So we all know that it's not all rosy here. Like, you have to struggle. So त्यो सबै कुरामा चाहिँ what is your sort of say on this?
Yeah, thank you, for this opportunity for me to speak. Basically, we are here outside. We are not in a position to criticize Nepal or the way of life or the how things are there. We are not in a position. I mean, that's ours, and we have to embrace it. That's our problem, no matter where we are. That's ours. It's not theirs. It's not Nepal. It's mine. So we don't want to, criticize, the pollution, the lack of roads or anything. But that's ours to embrace. Let's solve it together. Let's work together. And, basically my thoughts have evolved, in terms of nationality. I believe that the political boundaries in the world are not God-made, they are human-made, imaginary lines. Random, nirmit, papi, kalpanik rekha. Papi was, in a way, papi, kalpanik rekha matra. For that matter, I have come to realize that, no matter where we are, let's not forget, our roots. Let's not forget, Nepal, and also let's not forget other countries like in Africa. Basically, I just believe that by lighting another candle by a candle, that the candle that is unlit, the first candle will not lose its brightness. Or in Nepali, एउटा टुकीबाट अर्को टुकी जलाउँदैमा त्यो निभेको पहिलो टुकीको चहका त घट्दैन नि त. Rather, together it makes the whole world even more.
You're expanding the pie भन्छ नि त्यस्तै. I think that's also needed, right? त्यो हाम्रो ट्रेडिसनल नेपाली सोचाइमा चाहिँ कसैलाई केही भन्यो भने हेल्प गर्यो भने मेरो पनि लिदिन्छ कि मलाई कम हुन्छ कि भनेर. तर I think where we're in a place where that doesn't happen. हजुरले भने जस्तै it actually तिमीले अरूलाई केही सिकायो भने you get better as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and also to answer your question about basically a situation of brain drain and the worry, but it happens because there is a potential, created, basically the economic potential, or some people, it's not all economics. If the if other vatavaran, family situation, if other things are there, people migrate throughout history. People have been migrating, and then I don't think we should be worried about that. Nepal has a beautiful, it has the tallest mountain in the world. It is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And instead of worrying about that, we just need to focus on what is already the strengths. And we just need to inspire others to appreciate. And we just need to build infrastructure there. Basically, I mean, maybe drones, flying cars, the next infrastructure projects, flying cars. It would be a perfect, landscape, to start, flying cars in Nepal. And that's what we need to focus. And then by being here, we can develop Nepal. We are the products. We all are the products of Nepal. And सम्झँदाखेरि we are humans. नेपालको सम्झँदाखेरि गोरेटो बाटो पनि प्यारो लाग्छ, भैँसी पनि प्यारो लाग्छ, त्यो गौँडो पनि प्यारो लाग्छ, परालको त्यो टौवा पनि प्यारो लाग्छ, सबै प्यारो लाग्छ.
Of course, no, Purnaji, you're so right. तर I think अहिलेको चाहिँ what is needed, I think from diaspora, like all of us, is अब चाहिँ त्यो emotional हाम्रो connection छ नि त्यसलाई चाहिँ how do we build on that? त्यो कुरालाई एक्सनले कसरी सपोर्ट गर्ने, राइट? हजुरले भने जस्तै हामी बाहिर भएको मान्छेहरूले चाहिँ कसरी हाम्रो रिसोर्सेस हुन्छ कि हाम्रो एक्सपर्टिज हुन्छ कि हाम्रो इन्भेस्टमेन्ट हुन्छ कि कसरी नेपालको लागि अलिकति प्रोडक्टिभ वेमा युज गर्ने, आई थिङ्क त्यो इज गोइङ टु बी इम्पोर्टेन्ट. तर पूर्णजी, as we sort of come to the end of our episode, म चाहिँ I want to play this rapid fire game with you. त्यो चाहिँ it's a very different sort of new section that we're starting. About 30 seconds मा हैन, I'll just ask you quick questions. first thing that comes to your mind, just, a phrase, a word, tyo matre. So can we start, Purnaji? Yes. One technology, one device that you can't live without.
Right now, the phone.
Are you an Apple user or Android?
I was an Android user until 2 years ago, but now I'm an Apple user, so I'm balanced.
Perfect. हजुरको favorite Nepali word or phrase?
Karma.
Karma. That's a good one. If you were to describe हजुरको leadership style, what would that be?
Respecting others.
Awesome. अर्को चाहिँ नेपालको कुनै place where you never get tired of visiting or seeing?
My own village, Thuli Pohari Parvat.
Perfect. And Ajur, you should send us pictures that we can share with our audience. अर्को चाहिँ एउटा celebrity भन्ने कि एउटा popular person in your field of work that you would love to meet.
I would love to. In my field, actually, my thesis advisor, Dr. Indira Chatterjee.
Awesome. And then where is she, Aide?
She's in Reno, Nevada.
Okay. So let's hope we can make that happen, very soon. हजुरको favorite Nepali food?
Dal bhat, tarkari, achar, and selroti.
Awesome. Selroti is always good. Favorite holiday destination?
Hawaii.
Awesome. In the last question, one piece of advice, हजुरलाई कसैले दिएको advice that you sort of always remember?
Just आफ्नो कर्म गर्नु, आफ्नो कर्तव्य गर्दै राख्नु. It's always be ethical.
I think that's deep and important, Purnaji. And actually, that brings us to the end of our rapid fire as well as our episode. Purnaji, I've said this to you so many times. I'm so grateful for हजुरको time. I feel like we need, another episode just to cover more about your work and everything else. I think, we'll do a follow-up त्यसको लागि. तर thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome for the opportunity. Just one thing I wanted to say is that the reason I named my company Free H, it stands for honesty, humility, and harmony. And so honesty has to be there. Humility is nigarvatata, imandarita, ra harmony, but working together.
Amazing. And I think that should be the ethos of all of us Nepalis worldwide. I think that if we follow these 3 H's, I think, our life is going to be good. Hainta?
Oh, hopefully, good and bad is all relative. Sapetsiko. अब कसैको लागि राम्रो. For example, when my parents, I was in New Hampshire, my parents were with my sister in California. When they were coming in my sister's house, my nephews, they were just crying because their grandparents were going away. But in New Hampshire, we're all excited that they're coming.
Exactly.
So good and bad is all relative.
Of course. It's all perspective. Tara, on that note, Purnaji, thank you so much for your time. And we'll stay in touch. And for everybody that's listening and watches our podcast episodes, thank you so much. Please send us feedback and like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.